Virginia Casella and the Dragon Dreams Soul Tribe Collective, pleased to introduce Slavka, the natural sentient. Slavka is an alchemist, mystic, earthkeeper, and nature lover. She offers intuitive oracle readings, soul empowerment, emotional healing guidance, and hosts her own podcast, The Natural Sentient. Slavka shares the unique experiences and perspectives from her wonderful human journey, aiming to raise awareness and expansion of human consciousness. Slavka would like you to know that you're both a masterpiece and a work in progress. Trust your journey. Trust your inner wisdom. Virginia Casella and the Dragon Dreams Soul Tribe Collective. Thank you, Slavka, for sharing your story medicine and for courageously dreaming with us. Thank you for being a dragon medicine bearer and for helping us to create safer spaces to give and receive our story medicine. One of the best ways to heal is with the earth, and that's exactly what we do with each other. Virginia Casella and the Dragon Dreams Soul Tribe Collective, pleased to welcome Slavka, the natural sentient.
Okay, so let's start. I have a very touching question. Put a number 1 in the chat if you have ever tried to run away or distract yourself from emotional pain. Or perhaps you experienced emotional shutdown. Let us know. Emotional pain can be a powerful catalyst for personal growth and paves the way for deeper self-awareness, authentic self-love, and lasting self-acceptance. The process of knowing, loving, and accepting self is a continuous journey, an evolving practice that requires courage, patience, and compassion with self. Today, I want to share with you my story medicine about my own emotional journey and finding healing, and also why the deepest emotional pain is actually the greatest teacher in self-love. Emotional suppression. How we stuff away our emotional wounds and why we run away from our emotions. The reason why we do this is to avoid pain and protect ourselves from being completely overwhelmed. We act like everything is okay. We live manufactured life as if on a hamster wheel, feeling trapped in a cycle of responsibilities, obligations, and we are not okay. We are not fine. The reason we run away from our problems goes much deeper. We always have some kind of painful emotions. Let me mention fear, anxiety, anger, frustration, sadness, grief, helplessness, shame, and so on. Now, I'm speaking for myself, so I'm going to be vulnerable. Put a number 2 in the chat if you think that we need to be vulnerable in order to discover and learn from our emotions, which guide us in life by shaping our perception and driving our daily choices and decisions. We tend to be supportive of others, yet we neglect to create safe space for our own self-care. Recognizing this pattern is a powerful step towards building healthy boundaries and breaking the old cycle. A handful of years ago, it was maybe in 2020, I began to investigate my own emotional wounds and traumas on a deeper level, so I could overcome things that were holding me back. I realized I had repeating old patterns and codes that were there, but I couldn't identify them. At the time, I didn't have the tools and knowledge I do today, nor my parents did. Put a number 3 in the chat if you can relate. So what's the wisdom behind the wounds? My childhood, like the rest of you, was saturated with conditioning and programming. I tried to fit where I didn't belong to, and I somehow always knew it. I felt it inside me, that something is wrong. Since my childhood, I was observing how we live and why we make the choices we make. I thought about many things, like the meaning of life, my role, what's my essence, my core. I was gaining a lot of self-awareness and learned a lot just by observing my own parents and outer world. I have to say my parents did the best they could to raise me in love and ensure I have a good start in life. However, they had often conflicts and didn't know to deal with that. They had their own emotional pain that was passed on to them through the previous generation. My mother's side in particular has much wounds and trauma, and I recognize this as unhealed ancestral trauma. Her parents were expecting a male, so when she was born, there was a disappointment, and it manifested in adulthood as a feeling of not being enough as a female, low self-esteem, no boundaries, not able to speak her truth, people-pleasing, showing a facade that everything is okay, avoiding to speak out. She was in a victim mentality, feeling powerless, that she cannot change anything. When raising me, she was overprotective, as I was the only child. And because she was my primary role model to me since infancy, her overprotective nature and self sabotage became part of my own programming. I did lots of things, just like my mother. I realized I was the same and was showing up in the world in ways I didn't want to, that it wasn't really me. I knew I needed the way to deal with all of that I mentioned, but I didn't know how. I felt stuck. And it was traumatizing not to be fully me, because I was expected to be someone else and behave differently. My father had huge scarcity mindset that manifested in fear of not having enough resources, love, or safety. I realized he had difficult childhood, started to work early, so he practically didn't have any. He didn't enjoy his childhood. Eventually, he lost joy of life and overworked. He used to bury his emotions in alcohol and not to express his emotions. He didn't give importance to what he felt. He was not feeling seen and heard. Feelings of being unhappy, unsatisfied, and not willing to look at it what is behind. I had a time when I consumed alcohol, by the way. Not excessively, but I realized very soon that it's just a numbing. It didn't make me feel better, rather worse, so I stopped. Both my parents, they simply didn't know how to manage themselves. I realized I was the lightning rod in between them, going through the emotional abuse. Going back to our essence, what that means, who we really are. What did we come here to do? I believe we came here to be happy, which is rooted in our self-awareness, knowing self. I came here to be myself, to free myself from all limitations and live in my fullness and authenticity, no matter what. I had all kinds of anxiety, fears, and scarcity mindset. Thoughts of not having enough or not being enough were passed down to me from both my parents. The feelings of scarcity were strong. We were stuck in a survival mode pattern, and I felt very judged, that I think differently and that I question everything. By the time I realized I had tendency towards depression, but I was used to show up strong, showing no vulnerability, creating safe space for others and helping them, but ignoring myself. When I cried, I did it, but not publicly. So going through that made me realize that I'm more powerful than I think. However, I needed healing. I see others being judged a lot, but we tend to be the worst judge of ourselves. I struggled with lots of things like fear, doubt, shame. My parents were setting the example for me. And this is what they were teaching me without being conscious of it. I didn't want to continue this pattern anymore. We need to recognize our emotions so we can honor them, making the necessary changes in life, recognize what they are teaching us. The things we can't see or don't want to see about ourselves, our blind spots. Those are hidden patterns and defense mechanisms that our minds create to protect us from all that enormous pain, shame, cognitive dissonance. And we get to investigate these very blind spots to find healing. Yet, it is painful to do so. So we avoid it and don't heal. I learned I needed to trust myself and love myself as I am. I kept searching for these things outside of myself, obviously. Like I needed some external validation. I learned everything outside me is a projection of everything inside of me. And the world I live in, and everything outside of me is within. We are one, hence each of us living in our own reality that we create for ourselves in our mind, with our thoughts, emotions, and actions. I asked myself, what is there? What is out of alignment? What needs to be alchemized, addressed, let go? Everything that is not part of me anymore. There are many people who are very negative and don't want to do any healing or inner work. These types of people always blame others and lack the accountability for their own actions, attributing their problems to external circumstances or other people. They believe they are powerless to change their situation because the world is unfair or life happens to them, not for them. They also tend to look for quick fixes. And healing really is a lifetime journey. Since high school, I always meditated and enjoyed the pendulum, dowsing rods, crystals, medicinal herbs, even healing, Reiki. Intuition and inner wisdom guided me, telling me I needed something more. So by 2021, I began to join an emotional medicine course. It was a big awakening for me because it pushed me out of my comfort zone to address my healing. Even though I was very intuitive, I needed more ideas, and I also needed to be around others. I needed to speak out and seek outer guidance. Through this, I learned about the secret language of the body, to identify and name what was going on inside me and around me. I learned about symptoms, diagnoses, ailments, which are all rooted deeply in emotions. precisely in negative emotions. All the dark negative stuff is what we tend to focus on, and it's not healthy for us. It's creating toxicity in the body. My awareness expanded about myself as I learned about tools to use. Some of my favorite tools include simple methods like grounding and anchoring myself in the present moment, and journaling exercises. I lovingly invite you all to do things that appeal to your senses, that bring you joy, whatever makes you happy, like listening to music, meditating, practicing energy exercises like Qigong, listening and talking to your body, connecting with the nature. Because you are your best healer. One major tool is identifying what triggers you and why, so you can make the changes you need to make. For everyone, it's different, and it's a case-by-case scenario. Ask yourself, what is there that I ignore? Asking me to pay attention. We have the power to create, explore, and innovate by being able to identify what's going on in our spaces. We are able to unlock the way to higher perspective required to start this healing work. One activity I recommend is practicing daily affirmations for positive mindset. For example, write it down on the sticker and put it around you and say to yourself, I'm enough. I'm proud of myself. I love myself unconditionally. I accept myself as I am. I am deeply loved. I am beautiful. I am worthy. I am in charge of my life. Another powerful technique is to connect with your inner child, to go deeper to your wounds and traumas. Ask the child in you, what do you like to do? How can I make you happy? What can I do so you smile more? What do you enjoy? I got a lot of answers like being more playful and not to be so serious, to draw or paint, to have the freedom to go outside and smell the flowers, to smile with ease, to be free and to play without worrying about scarcity or personal security. Kids ask lots of questions, and I believe many children are being silenced because their parents discourage all the questions. Many parents don't have the time or patience, and so this in itself is part of childhood trauma because it translates into lack of attention, lack of love, lack of communication, lack of connection, lack of affection itself. And we sadly can begin to develop a lack of self-love, which is what happened to me. My soul felt like it was literally shrinking inside, and it seemed like all I did was self-sabotage. If we are always focused on survival, we can't breathe or grow. If we are in survival mode, we are stuck. We become a victim of circumstances and caught in the triangle of disempowerment. How we think and feel matters because it creates a loop that directs our actions, health, and reality, either in a positive or a negative way. In conclusion, opening up and sharing my vulnerability really helped me through the healing process. I learned to dismantle my silence, emotional walls, and express my emotions freely without feeling overwhelmed and having a safe space. I always knew I wasn't alone. I enjoyed a lot of free activities like Qigong, journaling, meditation, walking in the nature. But I also spent a lot of money on various courses that helped me stay focused on my goals. I was able to learn what was in my way. It was me, and it is still me standing in my own way with my self-limiting beliefs. I learned I was afraid of people always judging me and not being enough. I had an imposter syndrome, doubting myself and my abilities, not being ready to speak out publicly, and being found out. I like to be in the shadows, in the background. I learned the importance of setting up healthy boundaries because I teach people how to treat me. Building awareness helped me to step out of my old version with limiting beliefs and become a deliberate designer of my own reality. Complete shifting from living on autopilot to conscious creation. I lovingly invite you to gain awareness and to go deeper, questioning things, to guide your own healing journey, like I did. Recognize that your deepest wounds are profound teachers, showing you what you get to heal. Additionally, engaging in social media, listening to other stories, receiving oracle readings, healings, clearings, and so forth, all benefited me because I gained a lot of perspective and learned a lot. It brought more clarity into my life. The journey is never over. Although I was able to overcome many things, my life is not perfect, and I'm not guru. I don't regret anything in life and see everything as a valuable lesson. And I want to point out that these lessons are gifts. So thank you, universe. Thank you, everyone who crossed my path. Without you, I would not be the person that I am today. These days, I host my own show, The Natural Sentient, where I create space for people who want to share their stories and experiences. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Slavka, for presenting today. That was a phenomenal presentation. Your vulnerability coming straight from the heart. And, you know, emotional abuse is arguably one of the worst abuses, emotional, sexual, physical, because emotional abuse it's very focused on suppression and repression. So often people who are emotionally abused, they don't talk about things. They're notorious for putting on a mask. Their whole mind, body, spirit aura is wearing a mask. And because of the repression, the behaviors don't come out. So it's really powerful to admit that. If anybody has any questions for Slavka, put them in the chat. I really enjoyed listening to your presentation, Slavka. Following your parents' programming, the scarcity mindset, especially your mother in particular, self-sabotage, people-pleasing, this false need to be validated. You don't need anybody validating you, but the false belief that you needed that. And this blurred sense of identity, not even really knowing who you are and showing up in the world in ways that don't even, represent you, showing up in ways that you don't want to show up in. And then the drinking of the alcohol, you know what? Alcohol can be a tool. You know, if you're having a bad day, have some drinks. It's a good time, right? But there is that slippery slope to the danger of becoming an alcoholic. And thankfully, Slavka, you were able to recognize that it actually made you feel numb. So it wasn't working as a tool. And you were able to stop drinking the alcohol before it even became a problem. Because when we're suffering, we turn to things like alcohol and other tools like qigong and meditation, for that matter, as a coping strategy. But when coping transforms into suffering, then we know we're in for trouble. I used to drink a lot of alcohol too, mostly to put myself to sleep. But then I would wake up and feel tired and hungover, and it wasn't helpful. Recognizing all the mistakes that you made and not blaming yourself because you didn't know any better. But now that you know better, you can do better. You can live consciously so you can die consciously. And I love how you reiterate, like, your life's not perfect. You're not some guru, but you know what? When you fall, you're going to fall less hard. When it's time to get back up, it won't be so much of a struggle to get back up. And I love what you said about healing being a lifelong journey. There are no quick fixes or magic pill, and what might work for somebody might not work for somebody else. And the appeal to the inner child as well. You said so many things that resonated with me. A lot of parents, they don't have time to listen to their kids, or they simply don't want to for all kinds of reasons. Well, if your child can't even go to you for something small, why would they even go to you for something that is big? And before you know it, you have a huge disconnect between primary caregivers and their own children. And so just this business of being trapped in a cycle and how we can really empower ourselves with tools. And I love the examples that you gave, the mantras, that you can be proud of yourself. And I don't remember if it was Michael, but somebody had a question. I was just getting ahead of myself there, but lots of beautiful comments here in the comments about your presentation, Slavka. Oh, thanks, Michael, bringing it to the stage. What do you do when you see an old pattern coming up again? How do you keep yourself grounded and aware, Slavka? What do you do? So when you start feeling that scarcity mindset, that's an old pattern. What do you do or tell yourself when you experience that? Oh, and I think Slavka is frozen. I'm going to remove Slavka and bring you back to the stage. Okay, now she's just blank. Okay, Slavka, we are removing you and bringing you up again. Well, the good news is we got through her presentation. Okay. Slavka, you are frozen on the bottom. Okay. Slavka, I don't know if you can hear me or not. Oh, but it looks like she signed out and is coming back in again. We still have time. If you've got questions for Slavka, put them in the chat. And hopefully it's just her Wi-Fi connection. But this is why we plan the schedule the way we plan it, for these exact reasons. Let us know in the chat how you relate to Slavka. I'll keep an eye for her over here. But a really powerful presentation. The mind's job is to protect you, to move you from pain towards pleasure. So any kind of crap that you're putting up with in your life, your mind immediately starts lying to you, or like, when you're in a social situation and you think somebody's talking crap about you, well, your mind immediately is like, no, that's not true. They're not talking crap about you. Yes, they are talking crap about you, but your mind is protecting you, right? And this is a good thing, but the trouble is that it ends up creating blueprints that keep us stagnant. So we'll keep an eye out for Slavka. Let me just see here if I can get Slavka. I don't see her. Oh, she's coming back. Okay, Slavka, we're bringing you back to the stage. I was just going to message you. I'm glad you were able to make it back, Slavka.
Yeah, I don't know. There was some outage. I apologize. I'm happy that I made it.
That's okay.
Actually wired. I go through the wires. So, and you see, it can happen even through the, some outage. But I'm happy, really, and grateful that I was able to complete my presentation.
Yeah, or at least we got through the presentation. Woohoo! So, Slavka, when you are having a reoccurring old pattern, how do you keep yourself grounded and aware?
Well, I can recognize that when something actually is coming up, some trigger. For example, if someone is not listening to me, lack of attention, yeah, I can identify when I'm hijacked, actually, because of the knowledge that I have, that I'm able to see when this happens, when something triggers me. When I see, those are the patterns as well. So when something triggers me, I stop myself, for a while, and then I just, I realize, come back, stop, don't shoot the arrow, just calm down, and just to practicing present moment, yeah, and not be reactive. I try to stay calm and respond differently. It still happens to me that I get hijacked when there is a lot, I'm not, as I said, I'm still in that process. So I'm not a guru, and I still get hijacked sometimes, but I have that awareness when this is going on. So I'm able to bring back myself to present moment. And then I just, I calm down, and then I just do whatever to engage, at least to stay in that present moment. And that was actually often from my parents, that they triggered me. They used to trigger me a lot because that was my picture. I was them. So first I was upset, angry, and it made me really furious sometimes, and I was frustrated. And then when I had this knowledge and awareness, why? Because they don't know, and they didn't know, and they chosen not to do, because they didn't have that knowledge, and they didn't make the decision to start the healing itself. So then I accepted them as they are, with a lot of love, and I'm really grateful for showing me all of this stuff, all those triggers. So yeah, the important is to identify the moment when it happens.
Yes, the moment it happens, and giving yourself that grace to recognize, okay, I'm being triggered, I'm having a moment right now, take a step back, don't make any decisions, let the feelings wash over you, and then reevaluate.
Yeah.
When you were speaking, I wrote down, forgive them for they do not know.
Yes,
Some people,
forgiveness.
like, they really genuinely don't realize how much they trigger you or upset you. And you know what? Sometimes you can say to yourself, well, I'm not going to hang out with this person anymore, right? But what do you do when that person is a family member that you desire to have a relationship with, right? Like, you just have to forgive, and let go, and really come from a place of indifference. Otherwise, you're going to spend your whole life beating yourself up, but also having the grace to really honor yourself and recognize, hey, these people are abusive and epigenetics matters. And it is unhealthy and toxic for me to continue having a relationship with certain people or to continue to put myself in a certain situation environment. And this is where feelings of guilt and shame start to come into play. And so having conversations and listening to presentations, exactly like yours, Slavka, is very powerful because people know they're not alone. They're not alone in how they think and feel. They're not alone in their experiences. And it's one of your favorite ways to ground yourself is through meditation. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, do you just write whatever comes to your mind, or do you follow a guide where you answer certain questions? What does your journaling routine look like and sound like?
I enjoy meditation by myself, not guided. When I just find a quiet place where to sit, and I'm in stillness, and I just observe what's coming through. I'm just being, and I make my notes. That's my journaling. Whatever I see or whatever comes through, whatever I hear that I get by download. I usually do that because sometimes it's very powerful what's coming, and a lot of it is coming through synchronicities as well. So I make the notes. If I feel, if I have something unusual or something that I find that is remarkable, I write it down, and I usually connect it with synchronicity, how it came. So I do the journaling, and that is a sort of way how to keep evidence about how you are now, and when you look at it like in 1 year, in 5 years, so you can compare, you can see the progress that you did. Yeah. I also write how I feel, and anything that comes through that I feel, I make it on my mobile phone because I don't have always the paper and pen. So I make the notes and I journal on my phone. And then I see I have the million notes. But
That's the trouble that I get into. You've got your phone notes, and then your journal notes, and then you've got the random paper over here and there. Wow. Well, I can't believe it's already time for our next break. Slavka, I can't thank you enough for being here today and sharing your story, Medicine. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being a medicine bear. Time is just flying by, really. So I'm going to remove Slavka from the stage. Thank you again, Slavka. We only have one more presenter left. So this next break that we're going to take is the final break. So if you got to go to the bathroom or do whatever you need to do, make sure you do it, because after Missy presents, we're going to, I'm getting excited about showing my movies and a little bit nervous here. But yeah, after Missy presents, we're going to do some Q&As, and I can see her now. Hi, Missy. She's just at the bottom of the stage. We're going to reveal the first two movies, and then I'll thank everybody. We'll exit the Pine Tree Forest, check out any final chat connections, and wanted to remind everybody now, I'll remind you later too, that tomorrow, 11 a.m., we're having post-conference hangout. So no promises, but if the presenters and monitors are available, they'll be joining us. And we're just going to be hanging out. It's free to the whole public, and we're going to reminisce about the highlights today. So if you want to get in on that, Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern. And I wanted to remind everybody about the free Facebook group, the Dragon Dreams Soul Tribe Collective. That's where we hang out. So visit our group. Let us know how your snacks are, what you're drinking. Let us know how your candles are doing. And, while Slavka was presenting, I blew into my stick a lot. So let me know if you're blowing into your sticks. Maybe you forgot to blow into them. And if you don't have a stick, just blow into the monitor, and representative of that blowing in here. We're going to do fire ceremony when we come back. So yeah, I'm like in denial that we only have one more presentation. Did I play all the break videos? I'm having a time warp right now. So I'm going to remove myself from the stage, and you're going to enjoy the final break video created by yours truly, Gina Virginia Casella. And then I'll play some music again for you. We'll pull up Missy's bio, pull up Missy. I've got the presentation here. And I'm in denial. Let me know if you're in denial. I feel like I need to say more. I feel like maybe I skipped a presenter, but we're doing amazing for time here. So let me remove myself from this stage. And this next one, you may or may not want to have a pen or paper, or use your cell phone notes if you're like Slavka. And okay, here it is. This one is a little meditation so you can discover your tools. Hope